Welcome to Black is Magazine, a magazine fit for all where we are reaching the masses and embracing inclusion and diversity. Entertainment, small businesses, minority and women, mom and pop shops, and more. We offer a safe platform for individuals to interview and share their journeys. We also offer advertising slots at the very lowest prices to get your business recognized across the U.S. and abroad. Visit us www.blackismagazine.com. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black is Magazine, where we are reaching the masses and we are your one stop shop for all of your business advertising needs. Thank you for being here tonight. We have an awesome guest and with an awesome story, and we're just going to allow him to introduce himself to the world. So, Brad, thank you for being here. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me. My name is Brad Butler II. I'm a motivational speaker, author, student advocate. Just a regular guy, just doing the best I can to empower the world and leave this world better than I found it.
Amen. He says regular guy, y'all, but he's pretty amazing. You'll hear about that in just a moment. So, Brad, we talked earlier on prior to this interview. We got to sit down and have a brief conversation. And so, I want to talk about your journey um, growing up. Tell us about what it was like growing up for you.
Um, I think in my life, I experienced the best of both worlds. Um, some would say, some might be. I like to look at it that way. I'm just one of those people who try to look at the glass
Yeah.
half full.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of had the best of both worlds. So you know, earliest years, I grew up in Jersey City, so urban community. A lot of love throughout the communities. There's pros and cons to everything. So urban communities. So you got a lot of love because people are banding together, they're working together, doing a lot of things together as a community. But then you got the drug use, you got the alcohol, you got the poverty. There's a lot of different things that go with that. And then on the other side of that, I spent some time living in the suburbs, a suburban area, and with that, best of both worlds with that as well, the pros and cons for that. So you didn't really have to worry about crime or drug use, or well, at least outdoor drug use.
Right.
That's a misconception. Um, and there's a lot of things you didn't really see as far as that goes. And then there was the cons to it, as far as me being different and looking different, coming from a different area. So coming into their world, it was a lot different, and I was looked at different, treated a little bit different. But I was able to take the best from those different areas and put it together, and that's what made me who I am today.
Wow, women helping other women learn, grow, and empower. Learn new things, grow from what you learn, empower others to do the same, helping you to create a plan for your life, vision for a better life. Get connected to resources, seminars, trainings, women helping others with the gifts that they have. Contact Crystal Ifakoya, the founder and creator of WOW. Why not? I can appreciate that. I know, you may have heard, it's good to be street smart and book smart, right? So that you know how to deal with people in the streets that approach you or whatever the situation may be, but you always have that knowledge and that book smart and you know how to carry yourself, and so you survive both ends of it. And you said that out in the suburbs that you were different, and you are, it is different, you come from, maybe the projects or in the hood, as they say, and then you go out to the suburbs, and it's almost like I've been there, and it's almost like they're looking at you like, what are you doing here? How'd you get here? And so you're treated a little differently. So, and a lot of us have experienced that. But in during school, when you were in school, let's talk about your schooling and your education.
So when I was in Jersey City, it was typical. I was a regular kid like everybody else. So, I went to school, maybe struggled a little bit here and there. Who knows? But for the most part, I was an okay student, not too bad. Didn't really have any issues. I know maybe once or twice I had to, do summer school just to make sure that everything was finished. I might have been behind on something, so it was like, okay, let's just send him to summer school, make sure he catches up on everything, he's on par with everybody else. That was it. That was it. But once I went to the suburban area that I was at, when I got there, suburban area, East Windsor, when I got there, about a couple weeks into the school system, they put me in special ed classes, and that was most likely because of the fact that I came from Jersey City and the curriculum was slower. So instead of getting me a tutor or having someone help me to catch up with everyone else, they said let's just put them in special ed classes. So that's how that went, and I spent 10 years in special ed, and throughout that time, it's not for the faint of heart. Like if
Right.
you have a strong foundation, if you don't have somebody that's supporting you, somebody that's backing you, you will literally start to believe some of the things that people are telling you. You'll start actually, putting those labels on yourself that people will call you, whether it's dumb, uh, retarded,
Yeah.
remedial, stupid. You lack in this area. You're below the threshold. And you start hearing these certain things in the beginning. It doesn't mean anything to you because you're young, you don't know anything about it. But as you start to get older and you hear it more often, and then you get curious and you might start looking things up, or you might ask your mom or your dad, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? And then they start giving you the definition of it. And then they ask, well, why? Why do you want to know what the word remedial means? Like, what? And then, then it's like, oh, okay. No, 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 no reason. I just wanted to know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then,
Go.
yeah,
No,
that's
I
kind of
don't
how
think
it
you're,
goes.
but yeah, so and it's so true, I think a lot of people's success, or at least the kids' success growing up, is hindered because of they're told that there's a certain they have a certain label on them that they're not any good, you're dumb, you're not going to ever amount to anything. And the more you hear that, you're going to believe that. I believe that what you say and what you're told and what you're around all the time is what you become and what you believe. And so that hinders their growth and their success level to where they could be way ahead of that. So how did you deal with that? Because you said, remedial, we know what that means. How did you deal with that in order to get past it, to know that I want to be something better than I know I'm not that?
Hmm. Um, you ever put on an outfit and it didn't fit
Mm,
properly?
all
Um, right. First thing you think to yourself is, this is uncomfortable.
yeah,
This doesn't fit and this doesn't belong on me.
right.
So that's how I felt about the titles.
Wow.
I
And
I I never once felt like those titles belonged on me. And it's funny because my grandmother, rest her soul, she passed. She used to always tell me when I was younger, she's like, Brad, you are a genius. My grandson is a genius. And I was like, Grandma, I'm in special ed classes. Please stop. And don't tell your friends that stuff, because if they test that method, I'm going to embarrass you. But the funny thing about it was, my grandmother was right. She was right. I didn't know it at the time. I was young. I was trying to figure things out, and I know that she knew at some point the light bulb would go off, and I would get it. I would understand what she meant. I am a genius, just like anybody else walking this earth. We are all geniuses in our own right, but you look very out of place. I'll say you look very out of place when you're working outside of your gift.
mhm,
So when you find people that are trying to basically, when you're trying to take a square peg and shove it into a round hole, it doesn't work.
fit.
It Yeah, it just doesn't fit. So for me, that's exactly what it was like. Whereas I knew I did not necessarily belong in special ed classes. Do I believe that IEPs are necessary? Yes, absolutely. They are absolutely necessary for people who need them. I believe that I did not need it, but I also believe that it's not possible for me to regurgitate information that I was never taught.
Mm,
So, for example, when the SATs come around, all it is with the SATs, the only thing the SATs are is just 4 years of regurgitated information
yep,
in a written format.
yep,
And if I'm still doing work from a sophomore or junior year's studies, by the time I get to my senior year, I'm years off. I'm
yeah,
a year or years off. So there's a whole, let's say, it could be two, one or a half of the entire curriculum I don't understand.
Oh,
I'm guessing.
true.
So it's gonna make me look like I'm not capable of learning, or I have a mental disability, or I have a learning disability. Of course, it's gonna make me look that way. I've never learned information. So, for example, if you were to take a, hmm, if you took, I'll use, eh, let's say Beyonce.
Mhm.
If y'all took Beyonce, right, and put her in a, I don't know, nuclear science class, that's about to end very, very badly for her, because it's not what she studies, it's not what she does, it's not her gift in any way, shape, or form, right? So there's no point in putting somebody in that situation. So for me, it was like, if you have an IEP, and if you were in special ed classes your entire career, there's really no point in you taking the SATs unless you have some type of training.
Yes.
If you were able to get some training to take the SATs, or better yet, if I had known back then, I would have probably taken the ACTs, because
Yes.
that probably would have been a better option for me instead of the SATs.
Right. It's just the not knowing. When you don't know, you don't know. It's only when you know is when you can do better. And so
Right.
that's right. You didn't know. And along with the education, if you didn't teach that to me, if I wasn't learning that, and now you throw me in something and say, do it, yeah, I'm gonna look like I don't know. I don't know because I don't know it. You didn't teach me.
It's
And,
called triple
and
black.
I feel like a lot of kids go through that. They go
Yeah.
through that, especially if, like in your situation, you take them out of the ghetto where everybody's kind of on the same level, doing the same thing. Everybody think they're good until you move into a place where the education level is a little bit higher than that. And now I don't get it. I thought I was good, and I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Black is Magazine, a magazine fit for all where we are reaching the masses and embracing inclusion and diversity. Entertainment, small businesses, minority and women, mom and pop shops, and more. We offer a safe platform for individuals to interview and share their journeys. We also offer advertising slots at the very lowest prices to get your business recognized across the U.S. and abroad. Visit us www.blackismagazine.com.
It's called living in triple black.
Oh,
Um, that's when you don't know that you don't know that you don't know.
you don't know.
And that's all it is. It's not even so much that the students aren't capable of doing the work,
They-
but if
Yeah.
they haven't been exposed to
Yeah.
that level of work, if the pedagogy is different, like it's completely, it's just it looks like another world. It's almost like the same thing as if you took a drug dealer, right? You took him from being a drug dealer, and then you bring him into a corporate space, a business world.
Mhm.
He'll feel like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. I don't understand. This is too much going on. I don't understand the terminology and things like that. Not realizing that he actually does have the skill set to actually be there and dominate, just like all the other people that are there. He just doesn't realize that his skill set transitions into a different space. That's all it is. Once he learns the terminology, once he knows the culture that he's in, then he'll thrive.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you don't know the culture, if you don't know how they go about getting their information and disseminating information, then you look like you don't belong there at all, and that's just not the case. Like if you're invited, like it, if it's just exposure, it's the opportunities. If we are able to get our students more opportunities and more exposure to different things, we thrive.
Yeah. I often wonder about that because how do we get the opportunities in to the city, into the inner cities where it's a struggle, right? And the teachers, I believe, do the best that they can,
Yeah.
And a lot of students, what I see is that if they don't understand something, they shut down or act out. you
Yes.
know and so they're just they already have given up on themselves. And so since I can't do it, this is how I'm going to react to because I just don't get it. I don't want to be embarrassed because I don't get it. So
Right.
i'll
Oh,
distract I'll distract. It's,
And adults do it too.
and adults are the same way. It's
Yeah.
the same way. If I don't get it, I'm gonna just do something else. Just forget it. I'm just do something else.
I'll
Yeah.
bring it home for you. You have a guy who gets in a relationship with a new girl, and all of
Mm,
a sudden he doesn't understand her personality traits. He
mm.
doesn't understand the way her love language. So that instead of trying to talk to her and communicate with her properly and figure her out and try to figure out how you can possibly connect with her the right way, he just says, "I'll get a new girl."
I'll just go to the next one. And you know what the problem is with that? Then if you don't resolve the issue and at that point of knowing there's an issue, you're just gonna carry that with you wherever you go. You can get another girl if you want to. You can go to another school because you ain't learning there. You think you're not learning there, they're not teaching you anything. You can go, but until you know what the issue is, it's like that what you said. If you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
So fast forward a little bit, you get through school, and what happens after school? Like where direction, where was your mindset after school?
After high school or college?
After high school, were you intending to go to college because you were in special ed? So
Mhm.
was you like, okay, I got through this high school thing. Am I going to go to college? What am I going to do with my life?
I knew I was going to go to college, or at least attempt to try to make it happen,
Mhm.
because one of the worst things that you can do is tell me I can't do something.
Mm,
That's probably one of the worst things in the world that anybody can do. Don't tell me what I can and what I can't do.
yeah.
That bothers me, right? So I'll go out my way to prove people wrong. Just like, people told me, okay, you can't play college, football and stuff like that. I said, okay, we'll see. So when I was told that I couldn't go to college, I said, well, I'm going to try to do it anyway. And the reason why I felt like I could and I would try was because my mother went back to school and got her bachelor's degree, and then went back once again and got her master's degree. Now, the crazy thing about that is that my mother and my father were both drug dealers when
Mhm.
they were in Jersey City.
Mm,
And then after that, they, fell victim to becoming drug addicts. They became heroin addicts.
mm.
And then they beat their habits and then got back on the straight and narrow. So I looked at it as, if my mother and my father can beat a heroin addiction, I can beat the school system.
That's it.
Okay, I'm like, because the school system isn't trying to kill me. Like, it might not be working necessarily in my favor right now, but it's
Right.
not trying to kill me. Like, my mother and my father were dealing with something that was trying to kill them, trying to take their life.
Yeah.
And if they could bounce back from that, then I'll find a way to figure this out. So I said, yeah, I'm determined to make this work. I did have an offer to play. Excuse me. I did have an offer to go to a 4-year college. I believe it was someplace in Michigan. Like, it was crazy how I even ended up, they accepted me. But my father ended up having a brain aneurysm my senior year in high school.
Mm.
So I said, if my father has a full recovery, I need to make sure that I'm around, for my dad. He did have a full recovery.
Amen.
So I said, I'm going to stay in the area.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay around within the state. So I'm always near my father if anything happens. And that led me to go to Mercer County Community College.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, started off there. I struggled because, I'd never wrote an essay before.
Right.
I
Oh,
was struggling. And they told me the best thing for me to do is get a tutor and all that. And I found out that the college provided tutors for free.
oh
You
wow.
know, they had free tutors. They had late library hours, computers. They had resources for me to use. And I was like, oh wait, y'all just gonna give me access to all this stuff for free? I said, all right, cool. So if I fail, it's my fault, right?
Right.
No, not on nobody else.
There you
So
go.
I said, well, if all I got to do is just show I can at least pull off a C, then okay, we can do this, and I can kind of build from there. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. I went to the tutors and used all the resources that they had available. I was in the EOF program. So one of the things that they had is if you took 2 classes over the summer, they would be free. You didn't have to pay for them as long as you got a C or better.
Right.
So and so for some people, they're like, yo, how most people, when they go to a 2-year college, a community college, they're there for at least 3 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I took classes in the summertime, 2 classes in the summertime, so that I was ahead of schedule. I was
Mhm.
always ahead. And if I failed a class, I was still ahead.
Yeah.
I did it that way, and that's how I ended up graduating in 2 years. And there was like all my friends, like from the Trenton area and stuff like that. Like it was like, yo, nobody graduates. Like no, like we like people, no one graduates. Like they might transfer, but they don't graduate. But I actually graduated, and
But
then
you had that different kind of motivation.
oh yeah, but I never told anybody about it.
Yeah.
It was something I kept within, within me. It was like a chip I always kept on my shoulder. Same thing like when I played football and stuff like that. It was all like, even now with the business world and everything that I do, I always got a chip on my shoulder. Like
Mhm.
there's all that it's I don't know what it is. It's something I just can't seem to let go of.
Yeah.
But there's always something inside me where it's like, nope, you're not doing enough. Like this could easily be taken away from you. You can go right back to being that special ed kid
Wow.
all over again. So
Wow.
you better get up and you better do the work and you better do this, you better do that. Like you got to make it work. And that's always been with me. So with that, I graduated from Mercer County Community College and then I went to Kane University. I decided I wanted to still play football. And when I was at Mercer County, my major was fine arts because people told me, oh, you're good at art, do that. And I was like, but I think I could do more than
Yeah.
just art. And plus, last time I checked, artists don't really make that much
Right.
money painting and drawing pictures. So
Right.
I figured out something else. I changed my major to business management.
Mhm.
My worst subject is math. I didn't realize how much math was involved in a business degree.
Yes.
I get in there, but I'm like, I already made this decision, so I got to make it work. And
Mhm.
then I said, I'm gonna make the football team, so I got to walk on. And I'm walking on to the football team, going to the training like at 5 a.m. I'm getting up, going to the field, working out with the football team, trying to make the team. And then I'm going to the weight room, and then I'm doing my homework, and I'm going to class, and I'm just doing everything I can,
Wow.
just trying to make it work. And lo and behold, I ended up making a football team, and then I ended up, passing my classes, doing what I had to do, graduated from there, and won a championship at college and everything too. So it was a number of different things that actually worked out in my favor. But I just kept doing the work. I just kept going and going and
Yeah.
going. It's kind of kept my head down, even when things were going bad, like things were, not going as planned. Like I probably should have graduated in 2000, like with my bachelor's degree. I should have probably graduated in 2013. I didn't end up graduating and walking across the stage till 2015 because I just didn't have the money,
Yeah.
and got messed up with my counselors like putting me in the wrong classes. So
Yeah.
I was like prerequisites weren't right in the so it got messed up, and then I had to go back and fix it myself. Like, okay, y'all not doing what y'all supposed to do, so I got to figure this out. So that's another thing. Like
Wow.
some people out there, they're working for in their own interest, in their own best interest. They don't care about you. So
True.
you have to always make sure you do your own due diligence to make sure, like, if you say you want a certain thing, that you do what you have to do to make sure that you get it. So once you sign your name on the paper saying that I attend this college, that's it. It's
Mhm.
over. Like
Mhm.
what happens after that is all on you.
True.
So that was the way I always looked at it. And
You know,
yeah.
yeah, and that's even in a corporate, in the corporate world, in your work life, in your anything outside of school. You're responsible for you, and everybody don't care about where you go or how you succeed. They're just worried about themselves, and so that you have to have that mentality that I want something, I'm going to go for it, but I got to make sure I get it. I got to make sure I'm talking to the right people, doing the right things in order to get it. So I like that. So for anybody that's watching this and any, that needs this kind of motivation, I appreciate you sharing that. And so you go to college, you're done, you finally walk across stage 2015. What happens after that?
After that, I saw it's crazy because when I graduated and I got my associate's degree, my mom, she was she was happy. And she's like, wow, I can't believe it. I just everything she went through in school and all that, I knew you could do at home. I graduated and I told her I was going to get my 4-year degree. And she was like, oh. And I was like, okay. I was like, wow. And I was like, I went and then I made it happen. And like, she was just like, oh my God. She's like, because my mother knows how much of a struggle that is for a student who spent 10 years in the special ed system.
Yeah.
It's like, she's like, you're an anomaly. You're a unicorn. Like that doesn't, Brad, you don't understand. That doesn't happen. You don't have the soft skills that you normally learn in like the 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah.
Reading, writing, comprehension, and basic mathematics. You had some struggles in those areas. So for you to be able to will yourself through college, whether it be the associate's degree and then the bachelor's degree, to basically will yourself through it, because it wasn't so much that you weren't the smart, you was never the smartest in any of your classes, but you just kept showing up. you just kept coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually it worked itself out and you retained the information enough for you to pass these classes. And I
Right.
remember when I graduated from when I graduated from Kane University, my GPA was a 2.489. And
Wow.
I remembered that because I was like, why won't they just give me the 2.5? Like,
Right.
just give it up. Like, who is it hurting for you to just let me have this thing? Like, you know? But I bounced back from being under a 2.0 because I just, some classes I just struggled. I just struggled. I failed some
Yeah,
class.
it's just a reality. You're not going to get everything, but you did. I kudos to you for going through those struggles, because it just makes you a better person. The struggles that you go through just
Oh
makes you
yeah.
a better person, a stronger person. And so, how did in the world did you get into public speaking? Let's talk about that.
So after I graduated from college with my bachelor's, I went to the workforce. Now I'd always worked.
Right.
That wasn't something that I was new to. But now it was like, okay, school's done. So now it's you just in the workforce, that's all you're doing. And I gravitated to sales jobs because I was always good at talking and just building relationships with people. So I did that. I worked for Verizon a couple different times. And so I thought the most that I could possibly do in my life was be a manager for Verizon, right? At one of the retail stores. Not a bad living, nothing wrong with
Right.
that.
Right.
That's what I gravitated to. I was cool with it. Or I at one point I ended up becoming a fully licensed insurance agent.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I'm one of the two.
Right.
And as I'm going through it, I'm trying to, do my thing. I'm making my little money, but it just never felt like it was enough money. I just always felt like, man, I should be doing more. I got to make more money. And one of the things that the jobs hated about me was I would ask questions about the business side of things, like the back office stuff. Like, okay, well, how much, do we make from this? How much do we make from that? And what's the overhead cost for this and the overhead cost for that? Questions that some of the managers and the people who were there didn't even know the answers to.
Right.
So they have to go find the answer for me, right?
Yeah,
Because
'cause
I'll
they're
ask
just
you,
working.
yeah, they just working. So I'm
Yeah.
asking these questions and stuff like that. And then they quickly found out that I was the type of person where once I learned the information, I find out how you're getting over on me as me being an employee. Now I'm pissed off and I don't look at the job the same and I don't want to be here. And I'm trying to find some place that actually values me. But
Right.
no matter where I went, no place actually placed a significant value on what it was that I was capable of doing. There was no dollar amount or hourly dollar amount that was a connection that equated to what I was actually worth.
Right.
So that was the thing that bothered me about it. So it always started a problem. They was
Yeah.
like, oh, Brad, here you go again, man. You always did, and they hated it because I was always one of their best workers.
Mm-hmm.
But my mindset was just, nope, you're using me. You're using me. I know you're using me.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And I was always looking for another way to make more money. So that led me to multi-level marketing companies.
Right.
So the Amways, the Vimas, the Legal Shield, and all those other ones, I tried pretty much all of them just to see if that was, if that was the thing. And
Right.
I thought that, that was the opportunity that was going to lead me to the money to take care of my family and build my legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I quickly realized that I wasn't actually gravitating to the opportunity or the money. I was gravitating to the person that was on stage giving the presentation every time.
Wow.
I wanted to actually be that person. So I would get into the business, and one of the first things I would ask is like, when can I get on stage?
Yeah.
When can I get on stage and tell my story and do that? And they were like, well, you have to hit a certain rank first. Like, you got to hit this rank and get it. I'm like, it's going to take, it's going to take me too long. How many, and you talking about I got to go to people's houses and do one by one talking. Well, I ain't doing that. I got to get to the masses. Like, I got to
Yeah.
tell people at once. Like, I ain't
Yeah.
all at once. I'm trying to get to 600 people at once.
Yeah.
Like one at a time. Come on now. How can we get them all in one room? That's my thing.
Yeah.
And there's like, oh, Brad, you can't do that. So I'm like, there you go. Using me. You try to use me. I'm not with it. So I left, doing that type of stuff. And I actually ended up with a situation where a teacher, one of my past teachers from high school contacted me, said, hey, Brad, how are you doing? What have you been up to? You were always one of my favorite students and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just chilling. Like, I went to college, got my degrees. She's like, you did what? I was like, went to college, got my degrees? And she was like, no, 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 you don't understand. Like, I taught you. You were my student. Like, you were in special ed classes. Like, you got your like bachelor's degree. I was like, yeah. She's like, I don't believe it. You got to come back to the school and talk to the kids. I was like, oh, no. And she's like, why not? I was like, because if I come back to the school and tell the kids about my story, that means I have to admit I was in special ed class and nobody knows.
Mm.
So
You
she
didn't
asked
do
me
that.
again about 3 or 4 more times. And then the last time I finally said yeah, because somehow I feel like, I just kept seeing and hearing Eric Thomas's videos and things like that. And I was just like, man, I keep seeing this dude, man. Man, he doing this thing. I was like, I want to do it, but I can't do it without telling my story. I'll be lying.
That's right.
So I was like, man, how can I do this? And I was like, man, I might have to go ahead and just do it. So I went and I said, all right, set it up. So I went there and I took off from work. So I wasn't making any money that day. And I told my wife about it. I asked her first. I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. And she like, do you think I can do it? She's like, yeah, go ahead. I believe you can do it. She was like, matter of fact, I'll take off from work. I'll come with you.
Oh,
And I was like, wait a minute, are you sure? I was like, I mean, because this is my first time doing this. I don't even know if I'm going to be good. She's like, oh, I know you're going to be good because you're not going to work. So that means you ain't making no money. And I'm not going to work. So that means I ain't making no money. So guess what? You're going to make this worthwhile.
right.
Like, we're going to find out if you're supposed to be doing this or not.
Yeah.
So that was it. And then she made sure that like she brought the camera and the recorder so she could record everything and take pictures and stuff. She was like, it's your first opportunity. You want to make sure you have this, the content, everything, so that you can build off of this. And from there, that's what started the journey. And I went from that first speaking engagement that I ever did, it was 8 kids in a special ed class, to one of my biggest presentations that I've done to date was in like a rented out ballroom in a hotel with over 100 sales reps from a Mass Mutual company who asked me to come and speak to their reps.
Wow. So so your mentor, let's talk about who your mentor is and how you connected.
So any good entrepreneur, business owner, man, woman, child should have more than one mentor. You
I
should have different mentors for different things. So when I first got started in the game, like trying to, get into speaking, my very first mentor was Kendall Ficklin, right? Kendall Ficklin, great dude. He's the one who he shifted my mindset. Like he helped me to, just think about things differently, to focus and get an understanding of where my niche market was, how I should go about doing this, like understanding the actual grind. Like you're like, okay, Brad, you say you're working, but you're not working as hard as you could possibly be working. So I need you to flip that switch and actually start really, like, you have to go to the point of exhaustion. And my wife has seen it before. Like there are days when I only had like 4 hours of sleep because I'm like I'm up and I'm going because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to make it happen. And that's what led me to get as many speaking engagements as I had. It was some speaking engagements I did and I was dead tired. Like I had not slept at all, but I got up there and I'm giving you an hour because that's what he taught me how to do. So it was like, if you can get through that phase where you're doing all these speaking engagements for free and you're putting in like, putting yourself to the point of exhaustion, you almost killing yourself. Like you will be primed and ready when the paid opportunities come. So he was the one who taught me about that. My second mentor after that was the one and only #1 speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. So I went through the Game Changers program. So I'm a certified speaker under Dr. Eric Thomas and CJ Quinney. Shout out to CJ Quinney, Dr. Eric Thomas, Coach Val, Mustafa, Nikki, the whole squad, everybody that's a part, Cantus Simmons, everybody that's a part of making ETA what it is. So much love for them. They were the ones who helped me to really tighten up my gift. Right. There's a lot of people they acting on their gift and they're just really good. But when you add some technique to it, like when you add a structure to your gift, that's when it turns into something fun. Like that is the difference between, I hate to use sports analogies, but it's like that's the difference. Like when you see somebody like Michael Jordan, when he walks in the room, the greats bow down because he found a way to take his God-given gifts and then put the structure to it, right?
Mhm.
Like, but he honed the skill set to it. Like he put the 10,000 hours it takes to master a skill set to it. Like I'm talking about the molding and shaping that it takes to create a diamond.
Mhm.
That is what Game Changers was for me. Like that's what Eric Thompson CJ was for me. The shaping, the molding. And I'm not perfect. I still have, my flaws and things like that. But I know I'm leagues above some other people coming into the speaking game because you just don't have what I have.
Right.
Like you ain't got the speaker Bible like I got. You ain't
Right.
got, you don't have the things that I have. Like I'm properly equipped to do whatever I need to do. So that was the thing that put me in a situation when I was done with Game Changers. I was like, oh, you can put me in any room you want and we can get busy because I know my story verbatim.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm not trying to tell your story or sound like anybody else. I'm gonna tell my story and I'm
Right.
gonna do it my way because I've mastered my story. I've mastered my way of speaking. So that was that. And then that led me to the last mentor that I currently have, which is Jeremy Anderson. I've been working under him, working with him because he has mastered the market of the educational realm. So I've been working with him and it's been great.
That's amazing. I mean, it's just an amazing story that you have an amazing journey. And you are an example for those coming up that are our future that, might get a little discouraged, but how you just maneuvered, how you told us you just maneuvered through all of that. You were so adamant about it. And what I like about that is you're like, don't tell me I can't, because then you're putting more fight in me and more drive in me, and I'm going to do it, right? That's a part of that law of attraction. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say I'm going to get it. I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. You got to talk it. You got to speak it kind of into existence and be positive about what you are. And some people just don't have it in them until they hear a story like yours, a story like where I come from, so I appreciate that. Now, you said that people don't have what you have, right? And you way on top of your game. How do people get that? How do you suggest that people that really want to be a great public speaker, what would you say? Now they're just say they're doing gigs, they're creating their own opportunities, they're doing this stuff for free, they think they're grinding, but what else do you give them to get to your level?
For one, stop trying to be like somebody that you've seen. Like
Hmm.
it's okay um to gain inspiration from somebody else, but to mimic somebody else, it's not the best thing because then you start trying to do everything that they're doing, live your life the way that they live their life, and
Uh-huh.
it doesn't work.
Good
Like
stuff.
everyone has their own story, like their own journey. So there's certain things you might pick up, like okay, Dr. Eric Thomas, he doesn't curse. I don't curse,
Hmm.
but he might not curse because of the same reasons that I don't. I know me personally, I stopped cursing because of the fact that I had a cursing problem. Like it was just a part of my vocabulary, and I like because I'm getting arguments with people all the time. That was you know how it is when you in the hood.
Yeah.
That was like a defense mechanism. Like you got to be and you got to cut deep
Yeah.
with. And to let them know that you really serious about it, you might have to drop an F-bomb on them. You might
Right.
have to, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
to really get them off your case.
Yeah.
And when you're growing up in that, sometimes it's hard to get it out of your regular conversation.
Yeah.
So
True.
what I didn't want to happen, and my wife is the one who brought it to my attention. She was like, "You gotta mind, you need to mind your tongue." She was like, "Because if you're gonna be a motivational speaker, speaking in these schools to these kids, if you're so used to every time you get riled up and every time you get excited and passionate about something, a cuss word comes out to kind of try to describe how you feel, you can't come back to them schools.
That's right. And
If
so
you got
people cuss so much they don't even know it came out.
exactly, and that's how I was.
Yeah.
Like, I'll cuss and I was like, I didn't even know I cursed.
Yeah.
So I was like, so that told me I have a problem.
Yeah.
Anything you don't have control over, like that's a problem. So if you can't, like, if someone tells you to stop doing something, don't do nothing. Do this for an hour. Don't do this for a day. Don't do this for a week. And you like, oh, I can't do that. Or why would that's not a, I can't. You got a problem.
It's a problem. I
You
like
tell,
that. I
you tell
like that.
somebody to stop drinking for a week and they can't. You got a problem. You tell somebody to stop fornicating for a week and they can't. You got a problem.
Hmm.
It was a number that, so I was like, okay, I might have, let me see if this is a real problem for me. And then I stopped and I caught myself when I would curse or if I was about to curse and I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Let me
Yeah.
get this together. And then from there, it was just like, okay. So my thing was, it was different for me than maybe it was for Eric Thomas or anybody else who was out there who does not curse. Like
Right.
my thing was, I had an issue with it, so I needed to get it
Yeah.
controlled.
And how you got control of that is you started, like, at first, to me, this is what I see. You were doing it unconsciously, but
Yes.
you made a conscious aware. Your wife helped you to be aware of what's coming out of your mouth. And so now it's like, oh, or you feel
Right.
like, oh, so now you know it and you can fix it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's with any problem we have, that we just mentioned a couple of them, right? If you become intentionally aware about that problem, you can fix it. It can
Hmm.
be fixed. And in order to be great, if you got some stumbling blocks and some things you need to fix, you got to fix those things in order to move to the next level. Because if
Right.
you move to the next level, that stuff is coming right with you. And
Yes.
and eventually it's not going to work. You know, it's just not going to work. You got to fix it. So I like that about you. Brad, I thank you so much for being here, and giving your sharing your life pretty much with us, what you went through, and sharing with the world, that it doesn't matter where you come from, how you start, it's how you finish, and what your legacy is going to be and what you're really committed to. Like, are you really committed to being the best you can be? And people say, I'm committed to being the best me, but they really are not committed to that. You know what I'm saying? You can, you've been saying that for a long time and you're still in the same place you are. So we got to be intentional
Right.
about being better. We got to be intentional about self-love, intentional about changing things that are not right in our lives. And you're just the prime example for that. So I appreciate you and I thank you. So Brad, before we get out of here, go ahead and tell the people how they can reach you, how they can book you, all those good things.
Man, the best way to reach me is go to, as far as booking me, just go to www.bradbutler, the number 2.com. You can find me on all social media platforms with Brad Butler the second. It's just two Roman numeral two. That's all. Brad Butler the second. That's it.
Awesome. Awesome. Again, I thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for being here and tuning in. Please leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. You guys, we're going to get out of here for now. And what I would leave with you is that I would say respect yourself and respect others. Good night.